So moving into the comedy scene, take us to your first gig, which was 20 years ago, I think, and comedy quest that you won, right? Was it your very first attempt at stand-up comedy, and you've won? What was it? A show?
It was the Wellington Rookie Comp. So it was like a newcomers competition.
And is this literally you've never done any stand-up?
Never done it. Did that, and then the next gig was the Raw Comedy Quest, which is like the big comedy festival thing, and the national one, and I won that as well. That was like my third gig, and then it's all been uphill from there.
How did you? I've vaguely thought maybe I'll give stand-up a go.
Do it. You're probably way better than most of the people that do it.
But like the sheer thought of bombing scares the shit out of me.
Oh, if I'd bombed in my first gig, I wouldn't have done it ever again. Yeah.
But did you how much prep goes into something like that? Like, because I MC quite a lot of things like weddings and stuff, and I fucking agonize over wanting to make sure every little bit is right. Is it the same for your stand-up stuff, or do you just flow and riff when you get up there?
Nah, I mean, some comedians do that, but I have to know what I'm doing. Like,
right.
Yeah. I'll write bullet points and then go from there.
But is that the same when you started out? Was the same?
When I started out, I just wrote a whole script, like word for word, had to do it. But now it's easier. But yeah, the first gig was terrifying. But I smashed it.
And so there was no performance high school, there was no drama background, there was no...
Nothing. I was doing theatre at the time at Vic Uni, so with James Nakisa actually, and he invited me to a show, and I went and watched it, and I was like, fuck, I'm way funnier than all these people, so that's why I did it.
Because that's kind of the not misconception. That's kind of we've all got people that we know in everyday life that we're like, they're way funnier than the comedians. Like, do you have to be a naturally funny person to be a comedian?
I find the naturally funny people, they won't do it. Like, most of them won't even get on stage,
and that's why I won't do it.
Yeah,
that's exactly why.
All right.
I'm fucking hilarious.
Big props on himself.
Okay,
Settle down, mate.
All right, moving on.
Ben Hurley did suggest digging around in that era of comedy in Wellington in your early 20s. Do you have fond memories of that time, looking back?
Dude, it was literally like probably the best time of my life. I loved it. Like, I came like just out of nowhere into this like scene of all these people, like just the weirdest people that are all friends. Like, you'd never find them together in real life. Like, you had jocks, you had like hippies, you had fucking bogans. It was so good. Like that literally helped me so much in my life.
One of the contacts has suggested there was a celebrity debate you did. This was with James Nakisi, where you were up against Georgina Bayer.
Yeah.
And she absolutely destroyed you. Was it around this time? Do you remember?
Yeah, that would have been like 2004, maybe 2005. Yeah, she was great. We a whole bunch of comedians were in the debate, and she was funnier than all of us.
What is it about Wellington that draws comedians there, or churns out good comedians?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
What is it about the city?
I don't know. I think it's just chilled. It's just a chill place. It's not as judgy as Auckland. Everyone can just be themselves. It's very alternative. Wellington's the best city in the world.
Because at that stage, Taika and Jermaine and Brett, is that the same sort of time period where you're all running around the same sort of...
They would have started before us, but we all came in while they were like getting there. So yeah, like me and Hurley used to run the comedy club, and like we used to pay the Concords like $40 to do shows for us.
That's amazing. And is that like post show? Is that where like tips are shared, or like I'm fascinated on, you get into a locker room in football and people are like, hey Cori, next time the centre half pins you if you spin like that. Like, is that the same in like a comedy?
Yeah, a little bit.
Bar or
a little bit. I mean, not really. Like, you don't like sit down and say, okay, you did this wrong, this right, blah, blah, blah. It just happens during the night or just the next few days that you hang out. You just like. And I love the band, so our flat was like the comedy flat. All the comedians were there, so it would just happen naturally. Like, people would say, "Oh, that was good," or "That was fucked,"
and is it one-upsmanship as well when you're living with a fellow comedian, like trying to get them to like laugh?
With Hurley, it is, but he's very competitive, so we always try to get one up on each other.
Because he said you were hyper-competitive as well.
Yeah, and so is he. Like, he gets very angry if I get something on him.
It's a shame we didn't know you before we had our episode with him.
All right.
We Could have got some real gold.
This kind of blends into the timeline of booze, because you mentioned earlier you didn't drink until you were 23, and there's a real feeling, well, probably quite accurate, that the comedy scene, late nights, that alcohol is a part of it.
Yeah.
What was your relation? I mean, was there a reason you didn't drink before, and then was there a reason at 23 that you started?
I didn't drink just because I was an athlete, I guess, and my parents didn't drink, so it was never around me, so I never, it wasn't there, it wasn't tempting or anything. And then when I started comedy, I did it and I really liked it. So
Was that because you'd already been on, like you didn't need, I guess you didn't need the booze to get on stage.
Yeah,
right?
the first gig I did, I didn't drink at all. The first few gigs, I didn't drink at all.
But then did you find that alcohol was able to then, I guess, relax you, or?
Yeah, like 100%. Yeah, it's quite sad. Like I got to a stage where I was like, fuck, I did a couple of shows in Queenstown like years ago, and it was like I was there for a week, did a week of shows, and I was drinking like a hip flask of whiskey before every show. And I probably didn't need it, but I just got into I got a very addictive personality. But now I don't drink before shows anymore, so not that much.
There's a real sort of cultural shift, I feel like, happening with booze, and I know I'm saying this on a show called Between Two Beers, sponsored by Export Gold from the Export Beer Garden studio. But I mean, Shay doesn't drink anymore. People
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah.
Shay's 600 days sober.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, cool, bro. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Since we started this.
Feel good?
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like I think for me, like having to sit with stuff that I'm thinking and feeling, rather than like I was a classic suppress it,
Yeah.
and then smash, have a night out, and then just then it was gone,
Same idea.
and then build it back up again.
Yeah.
And you know, this dude was like, oh, you probably don't need that, which is why I was interested in, like, you seem like the stand up thing astounds me that you were able to just get up and go without that fear.
Yeah.
Like it's really inspiring to kind of think that, oh yeah, I can just get up and do it. But yeah, no, I do feel I've just come back from a holiday, like a family holiday, and there's certain responsibilities that come when you're the non-drinking guy. You're doing the airport runs, you're the reliable one, you're making sure everything's done. So I was kind of like, I wish I was kind of hungover a couple of these mornings that I could just sleep through. But for the most part, it's been a really cool decision for me. It's gone really, really well.
Dude, that's awesome. I did like 112 days up until like 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And that's the best I've ever felt.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it again, I think.
Yeah. It works for me. I never say, do it, you'll feel 100% better. But if it works for you, then for sure, man. Like, but for me, it's been great.
Yeah. You're still doing meth though, right?
Yeah. Habitually.
Perfect.
Yeah. you got to replace one vice with another.
Exactly, man. Yeah.
Yeah, take one out. One door closes, the other one opens.
Yeah.